The clock struck 7, and like clockwork, Eliza sprang from her seat, her eyes alight with the fervor that only the Mega Millions lottery draw could ignite. Our living room, usually a haven of tranquility, transformed into a battleground where dreams clashed with reality, and hope was a currency as tangible as the worn fabric of our sofa. "I can't believe it's starting without me," Eliza exclaimed, fumbling with the remote as if it were the key to a treasure chest. I watched her, a bemused spectator in our weekly ritual, my skepticism a silent shadow in the brightly lit room. "You know, love, one of these days you're actually going to win, and I won't know what to do with myself," I teased, my voice laced with the dry humor that had become my armor in our marriage of contrasts. Eliza shot me a look, her green eyes sparkling with a mix of challenge and excitement. "When I win, not if, we're going to live like kings. No more of your horse races, darling. We'll have real horses, dozens of them, and you can bet on them running around our estate." Her laughter filled the room, a sound that, despite everything, I found infectious. I allowed myself a small smile, shaking my head at the grandiosity of her dreams. And here I was, content with a pint and a quiet night in. But sure, let's add estate owner to the list of our future titles. The banter was light, but beneath it lay the unspoken truths of our marriage. Eliza, with her roots deep in the rugged beauty of Scotland, had always been a force of nature, her desires as vast as the landscapes she hailed from. I, on the other hand, found contentment in the simpler things in life, a pint in hand, in the company of good friends. As the numbers began to roll out on the screen, Eliza clutched the lottery ticket like a talisman, her lips moving silently as she willed the universe to align with her dreams. I couldn't help but admire her, this fiery woman who believed so fiercely in the possibility of what if. "Imagine, just imagine if this is the one, if these numbers change everything," she whispered, her voice a blend of hope and desperation. I reached out, taking her hand in mine, feeling the tremble of her excitement. "Then we change everything together. But no matter what those numbers say, I'm already the luckiest man for having you." The moment was brief, a fleeting connection in the midst of our lottery ritual, but it was real. As the final number was called, and Eliza's grip tightened to the point of pain, I realized that this ritual was more than just a game. It was a testament to our dreams, a weekly pilgrimage to the altar of what if, where the prize was not just millions, but the affirmation of our hopes and fears. And as the draw concluded, with Eliza's scream of disbelief shattering the silence, I knew that our lives were about to change, for better or for worse. The lottery ritual, a simple game of chance, had set us on a path from which there was no turning back. The euphoria of the lottery draw had barely faded when the first cracks in our shared facade began to show. The living room, still littered with the remnants of our Saturday ritual, felt smaller somehow, as if the walls themselves were closing in, suffocated by unspoken tensions and divergent dreams. "You know, we really should start thinking about what we're going to do with the money," Eliza said, breaking the silence with a voice that was too casual, too practiced. She was standing by the window, her silhouette framed against the dying light, a statue of ambition. I paused, the reality of our situation settling in with a weight that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. "Eliza, love, we've talked about this. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's a lot to consider and—" She cut me off, her voice sharp, a knife slicing through the tentative peace. "Consider? What's there to consider, seeing? This is our chance to finally live the life we've always wanted. No more scrimping and saving, no more dreaming about one day. Our ship has come in." I watched her, this woman I had pledged my life to, and wondered when the gap between our dreams had grown so wide. And what of our life now? Is it so terrible, Eliza? We have love. We have health. We're happy, aren't we? Her laugh was bitter, a sound that echoed off the walls and settled like frost between us. Happy? You call this happy? Stuck in a rut, going through the motions day after day? Seen, I want more. I've always wanted more. You do that when you marry me. The conversation spiraled, a dance of conflicting desires and unmet expectations. Eliza spoke of travel, of luxury, of a life so far removed from our current existence that it might as well have been a fairy tale. I spoke of stability, of contentment, of finding joy in the simple things that life offered. We could travel the world, scene. Paris, Rome, Tokyo. Think of the adventures we could have, she pleaded, her eyes alight with the fire of unfulfilled desires. And what of home, Eliza? What of the life we've built here, the friends we've made, the memories we've created? Is all that so easily discarded for a handful of adventures? I countered, my voice heavy with a sadness I couldn't quite name. The conversation ended as so many of our conversations did, with silence and distance. Eliza turned back to the window, her gaze fixed on a horizon I couldn't see, while I retreated into the familiarity of our kitchen, the heart of our home, where the remnants of our life together felt most tangible. It was clear, even then, that the lottery win had not been a blessing but a catalyst, revealing the fault lines in our marriage with the clarity of a rift in the earth. Our desires, once complementary, now clashed with the ferocity of tectonic plates, leaving us to navigate the tremors of a future uncertain and unclaimed. As I lay in bed that night, the distance between us a chasm filled with unspoken words and unrealized dreams, I couldn't help but wonder if the price of our lottery win would be the very foundation of our life together. The days following our clash of desires were marked by an uneasy truce, the air between Eliza and me charged with the electricity of a storm yet to break. Our conversations, once filled with laughter and light, had become minefields, each word carefully chosen, each sentence a bridge over the chasm that had opened between us. It was on a Thursday evening, the sky outside painted in hues of orange and purple as the sun dipped below the horizon, that the draw of our future reached its inevitable crescendo. I've been thinking, Eliza began, her voice cutting through the silence of our dinner. The words were simple, but they carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken thoughts. We need to make a decision, scene. We can't keep living in this limbo. I set down my fork, my appetite lost to the tension that hung between us. I know, I admitted, the weight of our situation pressing down on me. But Eliza, we need to be careful. This money, it's more than we've ever dreamed of. We can't let it change us, tear us apart. She scoffed, her frustration a palpable force. Change us. Scene, it's already changed us. Or rather, it's shown us who we really are. You're content to just let life pass you by. But I want more. I need more. The word stung, a bitter truth that I couldn't deny. And what about us, Eliza? What about what we need? Isn't our marriage worth more than any amount of money? Eliza's gaze met mine, and for a moment I saw the flicker of the woman I had fallen in love with, the woman who dreamed of a future, but valued the love that bound us. But then it was gone, replaced by a resolve that chilled me to the bone. Our marriage. She echoed, her voice hollow. Scene, our marriage has been stagnant for years. This money, it's a lifeline, a chance for me to finally live the life I've always wanted. I felt the words like a physical blow, a confirmation of my worst fears. So what are you saying, Eliza? That it's over. That you're choosing this fantasy over us. She stood, her chair scraping against the floor with a finality that echoed in the empty spaces of our home. I don't know, Scene. I don't know what I'm saying. All I know is that I can't stay here, trapped in a life that's suffocating me. And with that, she walked away, leaving me to grapple with the realization that the draw of our future had been nothing more than a cruel illusion, a mirage that had promised oasis but delivered only desert. As I sat alone at our dinner table, the remnants of our meal a testament to the shattered remains of our marriage, I couldn't help but wonder where it had all gone wrong. Had our desires always been so misaligned, or had the allure of wealth simply cast a spotlight on the fractures that had long existed? In the end, it didn't matter. The draw had been made, the lines drawn, and as the night closed in around me, I knew that the life I had known, the life I had loved, was slipping away, carried on the tide of desires that no amount of money could ever reconcile. The days that followed were a blur, each moment bleeding into the next with a monotony that was both comforting and suffocating. Eliza and I moved around each other like ghosts, our interactions limited to the barest of necessities. The chasm between us had widened, a gulf filled with silence and regret. It was late one evening, the world outside shrouded in darkness, when the dam finally broke. I found Eliza in the living room, a fortress of paperwork and brochures spread out before her. Her eyes, red-rimmed and weary, lifted to meet mine as I entered. Seeing, she began, her voice a whisper of its usual strength. We need to talk. I nodded, taking a seat opposite her, bracing myself for the storm I knew was coming. I agree. Eliza, what we've been doing, it's not working. We're tearing each other apart. She sighed, a sound that seemed to carry the weight of the world. I know. I've been so caught up in what I thought I wanted, what I thought we needed, that I lost sight of what's truly important. Her admission took me by surprise, a glimmer of hope flickering to life amidst the wreckage of our relationship. "Eliza, what are you saying?" She reached across the table, her hand hesitantly finding mine. "I'm saying that I've been selfish, seeing. This money, it's blinded me to the fact that the most valuable thing in my life has been right in front of me all along. You, us, our marriage. That's what truly matters." Tears welled in my eyes, a mix of relief and love washing over me. "Eliza, I don't know what to say. I've been so afraid of losing you, of losing us to this fantasy." She squeezed my hand, a lifeline in the storm. "I've been afraid too, seeing. But I've realized that no amount of money is worth sacrificing what we have. I want to make this work, if you're willing to try." I nodded, the decision clear in my heart. "I am, Eliza. More than anything, I want us to find our way back to each other." And so, we talked. We talked about our fears, our dreams, our desires. We talked about the money, deciding together that it would not define us, that we would use it to strengthen our bond, not sever it. We talked about the future, a future that, for the first time in a long time, seemed filled with hope. The revelations of that night were a turning point, a decision to choose each other over the allure of wealth. We'd agreed to seek counseling, to rebuild the foundation of our marriage with the understanding and communication that had been lacking. We decided to invest in our shared dreams, to travel, yes, but to do so in a way that brought us closer, not pushed us apart. As we went to bed that night, a sense of peace settled over me. The road ahead would not be easy, but for the first time in a long time, I felt confident that we would walk it together. The revelations and decisions of that night had shown us the way forward, a path marked by love, understanding, and the shared commitment to weather any storm, together. The newfound resolve between Eliza and me was tested sooner than either of us could have anticipated. It was a mere week after our night of revelations, a fragile peace settling over our home, when the truth came crashing down around us, a storm that threatened to undo everything we had vowed to rebuild. I had returned home early, the weight of the past weeks lifting with each step closer to reconciliation with Eliza. But as I entered, the sight that greeted me was one I hadn't expected. Eliza, her face pale, her hands trembling, held an envelope, its contents spilled across our coffee table like shards of glass. "Seeing," she began, her voice barely above a whisper, "there's something you need to see." I approached, my heart sinking as I took in the scene before me. Among the scattered papers, a series of photographs stood out, each one a dagger to the heart. They were of Eliza, but not the Eliza I knew. These images captured her in clandestine moments with another man, their intimacy undeniable, their betrayal a visceral blow. How? My voice broke, the question unfinished, but the accusation clear. Eliza met my gaze, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know, Sean. I swear, I don't know how these got here. This was before us, before our marriage. He was a mistake, a part of my past I wanted to forget." The room spun, the foundation of our reconciliation, now as fragile as glass underfoot. "A mistake?" I echoed, the words tasting bitter. "And you never thought to tell me, to share this part of your past?" "I was afraid," she admitted, her voice laced with desperation. "Afraid of losing you, of changing how you saw me. I thought it was behind me, that it didn't matter anymore." I stepped back, the distance between us growing with each passing second. "But it does matter, Eliza. It matters because it's the truth you chose to hide from me. How can we rebuild on a foundation of lies?" Eliza reached out, her hand stopping just short of mine. "Please, Sean, I'm begging you. This doesn't change how I feel about you, about us. It was a mistake, one I regret every day. Can't we move past this?" I wanted to believe her, to forgive and forget, but the images before me spoke of a betrayal that cut too deep. "I don't know if I can, Eliza. I don't know if I can trust you, not after this." The silence that followed was heavy, charged with the weight of decisions yet to be made. In the end, I walked away, the sound of Eliza's sobs a haunting melody that spoke of a love in peril, a future uncertain. The truth unveiled that day was a poison, seeping into the cracks of our fragile reconciliation, leaving us both to wonder if some wounds were simply too deep to heal. As I lay awake that night, the images of Eliza's betrayal etched into my mind. I knew that the path ahead would be one of the most difficult we had ever faced. The question that remained was whether our love was strong enough to survive it. The days that followed were a testament to the complexities of the human heart, a constant battle between love and betrayal, forgiveness and resentment. Eliza and I found ourselves trapped in a limbo of our own making, each attempt at conversation devolving into arguments that left us more estranged than before. It was on a cold, rain-soaked Thursday that the decision was made, the culmination of countless sleepless nights and unspoken words. I found Eliza in the living room. The remnants of our shattered dreams lay bare in the half-packed suitcases at her feet. Seeing, she began, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. I think it's time. Time. A word so simple, yet laden with the weight of finality. Time for what, Eliza? I asked, though the answer lay heavy in my heart. She looked up, her eyes meeting mine with a resolve I hadn't seen before. Time for me to go, to give us both the space we need to heal, to figure out what comes next. The finality of her words struck me, a blow that was both expected and devastating. Is this really what you want? My voice was a whisper, a last grasp at a future that seemed to slip further away with each passing moment. Eliza paused, her gaze drifting to the window, where the rain painted trails of sorrow on the glass. It's not about what I want, Seen. It's about what we need. And right now, we need distance. We're only causing each other more pain, and I can't bear it any longer. I wanted to argue, to fight for us, for the love we once shared. But as I looked at her, at the woman I loved yet hardly recognized, I knew she was right. How long? The question was a plea, a hope for some semblance of certainty amidst the chaos. I don't know, she admitted, her voice breaking. I need time to think, to understand my own heart. And you need time to forgive, whether it's me or yourself. The simplicity of her words cut through the complexity of our situation, laying bare the truth we had both been avoiding. We were lost, adrift in the sea of anger and heartache, and the only way to find our way back was to part. So, I nodded, the gesture a silent acknowledgement of the end of one chapter and the uncertain beginning of another. I'll miss you, I said, the words a mere whisper against the storm of emotions raging within. Eliza stepped forward, her hand reaching out to touch my cheek, a fleeting connection that spoke volumes. I'll miss you too. But this isn't goodbye, see? It's just until we find our way back to each other. With that, she turned, her steps towards the door heavy with the weight of our shared history. I watched her go, the finality of her departure a stark contrast to the life we had once envisioned together. The door closed with a soft click, leaving me alone with the ghosts of our past and the uncertain promise of a future apart. Departure, I realized, was not just a physical distance, but a journey into the depths of our own hearts, a quest to rediscover the love that had once bound us together, even if it meant finding our way back to each other from miles apart. The house felt eerily silent in the wake of Eliza's departure, each room echoing with the remnants of our shared life. It was a silence that weighed heavily on me, a constant reminder of the chasm that now lay between us. Yet within that silence, there was also space, a space to breathe, to think, and most importantly, to reflect. Days turned into weeks, and the initial shock of Eliza's absence gave way to a profound sense of introspection. I found myself wandering through the house, memories of better times playing like ghosts in the corners of my mind. It was during one of these aimless wanderings that I stumbled upon an old photo album, its pages a chronicle of our life together. As I flipped through the photographs, a voice from the past broke the silence. You always had a way of capturing the moment, see? I looked up, startled, to find my brother Alex standing in the doorway. His unexpected visit was a welcome intrusion into my solitude. I guess I did, I replied, a small smile tugging at the corners of my mouth. But lately, all they seem to capture is what I've lost. Alex walked over, taking a seat beside me on the couch. Or maybe they remind you of what you had, what you can still have if you're willing to fight for it. His words were a balm to my wounded heart, a reminder that while the past may be immutable, the future was still mine to shape. It's not that simple, Alex. The trust is broken, and I don't know if it can ever be repaired. Alex nodded, understanding etched into his features. Trust is like a mirror scene. Once it's shattered, it's hard to put back together. But it's not impossible. It just reflects differently, maybe even more honestly than before. I pondered his words, the truth in them resonating within me. And what if it's too late? What if the pieces are too scattered to ever make whole again? Then you pick up the pieces you can and you build something new, something different, but equally beautiful, Alex said, his voice firm with conviction. His visit, brief as it was, left me with a newfound sense of clarity. The freedom that Eliza's departure had granted me was not just a release from the pain and betrayal, but an opportunity to confront the demons of my past and the uncertainties of my future. In the weeks that followed, I embarked on a journey of self-discovery, each day a step towards understanding not just the nature of my relationship with Eliza, but the depths of my own heart. I realized that forgiveness was not a gift to be bestowed upon her, but a path to liberating myself from the chains of resentment and anger. The freedom I found in reflection was not an end, but a beginning, a chance to rebuild from the ashes of our shared past. And as I slowly pieced together the fragments of my broken heart, I came to understand that sometimes love is not about holding on, but about letting go with the hope that someday, in some form, it might find its way back to you. The journey was far from over, but for the first time since Eliza's departure, I felt the flicker of hope, a belief that no matter what the future held, I would be ready to face it, with or without her by my side.